My girlfriend is at yoga right now, and I just found proof that she's cheating on me with my best friend. What am I supposed to do now? Just one click, and my entire world collapsed. Message after message appeared on the screen. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This wasn't vague or confusing. This was a full-blown secret relationship. Long, intense, calculated. "Do you miss my scent?" she wrote. "Just hearing your voice yesterday kept me hard all day," he replied. The man who once told me, "Women like her are rare. Don't ever lose her." I don't know how long I sat there staring at the screen. A few minutes, maybe hours. All I remember is, when she realized someone was reading their messages, whole conversations began disappearing right before my eyes, vanishing like a wildfire, swallowing up every trace. But it was already too late. I had seen enough, and I wasn't going to stay silent. I stood up without a word. Everything I did after that felt instinctual. No trembling, no screaming, just a chilling wave crawling up my spine. I packed up all her things, her coat, her yoga shoes, the birthday gifts I once gave with all my heart, folded them neatly into large bags, just as neatly as she had tucked away her secrets. With my best friend, her car, parked outside the house, became the vault for those memories. I placed everything inside, carefully, one item at a time. But as I looked down at the spotless floor mat, the anger finally surfaced. I remembered something an old friend once said. If someone betrays you, don't yell. Do something they'll never forget. I opened the fridge, took out a half-full bottle of milk, and poured it beneath her car's floor mat. No one needed to know, no blood, just time and the smell to testify. Then I walked back into the house, opened my laptop, typed 2 short messages. To her, "I know everything. Whatever you deleted, too late. When you're back, leave my house." To him, he knows. No cursing, no begging, no tears, just an ending, clean and cold. And when I hit block on the 2 people who once meant everything to me, I also blocked out the old version of myself, the one who still believed in things like best friends, soulmates, and loyalty. I never expected that the most painful part wouldn't be the betrayal itself, but what came after. Betrayal, when you really think about it, is just a moment. But its consequences? They're a never-ending maze of chaos, like a door slamming shut, only to reveal a cold, endless labyrinth inside. And the first maze I had to step into was the business we built together. We used to say, no matter what happens, let's never let personal issues ruin our work. Naive, really. Because once the heart shatters, no contract can preserve respect in its purest form. We were co-founders, each holding 50%. The original idea was mine, and most of the initial capital came from my own savings, years of grinding and sacrifice. But when she started asking for a breakup, it wasn't with tears or regret. It was with cold, sharp demands for her share of the profit. That's when I knew this wasn't about love anymore. It was a transaction. "You owe me investment returns," she texted. "Well then, I suggest you revisit the buyback clause," I replied, attaching the legal agreement she had signed. There was one line, one I used to think was unnecessary. Any party wishing to buy out the other's share must repay 50% of the recorded total investment value plus a 10% operational fee. Tiny letters, easily overlooked. Now, they were the only shield protecting me from being stabbed in the back. Again. I forwarded everything to my lawyer, a calm, middle-aged man who looked me in the eye and said, "You did the right thing. Don't let emotion lead the way." It sounded cold, but it saved me from walking straight into a well-crafted financial trap. She never replied. No apology, no explanation, just silence, maybe hoping I'd cave. But I wasn't that man anymore. I wasn't waiting for an apology. I didn't need to win, but I sure as hell wouldn't lose. Here's what no one tells you about betrayal. It changes you, not into a worse person, but into someone so clear-headed it's almost ruthless. I began auditing everything. Shared accounts, shared emails, licenses, product source codes. One by one, I removed her name. Separated everything cleanly. No drama, no public posts, no angry texts. I simply erased her from the system, the same way she once tried to erase her texts with my friend. And the bitterest part? she once told me on a quiet evening. We could lose everything as long as we still have each other. Turns out, having each other comes with an expiration date. And love, sometimes it's just a clause in a contract, voidable the moment loyalty isn't renewed. I don't know if she'll ever come back. Not to apologize, but to renegotiate. But if she does, I'm ready. Not with a soft heart, but with contracts, lawyers, and the kind of silence that makes people tremble more than screams ever could. I thought I had done the right thing. Cut her out of my life, stepped away from the company, stayed calm, didn't lash out, didn't cause a scene. But there was one truth I wasn't ready to face from the beginning. I still hadn't spoken to him, the man who once called me his brother. A cheating partner is painful enough, but a best friend's betrayal. That's a kind of pain no anesthetic can numb. It makes you question everything. Your memories, your past, even your own judgment. I kept wondering, how many times did he sit in my house right in front of me, throwing his arm around my shoulder like a brother, while the other arm was wrapped around my woman behind my back? How many times did he raise a glass to toast me, all the while fantasizing about something else? When he asked about my girlfriend's schedule, was it really to help me plan surprises for her, or to plan his own secret meetings? I don't have the answers. And honestly, I don't want to hear any from him, but my therapist thinks differently. You should meet with him, she said. Not to forgive, but to reclaim your emotional power. I gave a half-hearted laugh. Power? I used to have it all. A 5-year relationship, a growing company, a best friend who was always around. Now what do I have? A car floor mat that reeks of spoiled milk, a list of assets being divided up by lawyers, and a head full of rusted memories. And yet, I quietly tried to reach out to him. Not through texts. I didn't want to leave any trail he could twist into some kind of excuse. I just wanted a conversation. No alcohol, no shouting, no violence. But every time my finger hovered over the call button, my hand would start to shake. Because deep down, I knew. I wasn't looking for answers. I wanted his silence to feel like punishment. The truth is, the one who hurt me the most wasn't her. It was him. Lovers can change. With time, with feelings, with circumstance. But a best friend? That's supposed to be the one who knows where the line is. The one who turns away when temptation creeps in. The one who tells you when something's off. Not the one who climbs over your back to stab you deeper in the heart. I sat alone in my room, staring into the mirror. My face didn't look like the man I was a week ago. Not sunken, not broken. But my eyes, something in them looked dead. I began writing a letter, not to send, just to write, to myself, and, in a way, to him. I wrote about the first time we met, the first time he helped me move apartments, the first time I introduced my girlfriend to him, with pride in my voice. And then I wrote about what it feels like to be betrayed by someone you once called family. Not to demand anything back, but to finally face the truth. When someone betrays you, they don't just take away a relationship. They kill a part of who you are. It took me nearly a week to stop imagining myself punching him in the face. Not because I forgave him, but because I was tired. Tired of the arguments playing out in my head. Tired of imagining all the sharp, dramatic lines I'd throw at him before walking away like in a movie. Tired of pretending I was okay, like I had moved on. The truth is, I hadn't moved on. But I also didn't want to drown in it anymore. I started tidying up the house, not to erase her, but to reorganize my world. The kitchen, once where we cooked together every evening, was now just me with a little radio playing soft jazz. The bedroom, once filled with her framed memories, now held only an empty frame, as if to remind me, not every empty space needs to be filled right away. I went back to things I'd forgotten. Books, running, playing guitar. Some days, I'd just sit on the balcony for hours, watching cars go by, thinking about something painfully simple. I'm still alive. Then, one Friday night, I got a message. Not from her, but from him. The old friend, the betrayer, the one I swore I'd never speak to again. I know you don't want to see me, but please, just hear me out. One last time. I froze. angry, and yet curious. Because there was something in the tone that didn't match what I'd imagined. It wasn't an excuse. It wasn't manipulation. It sounded more like a cry for help. I agreed to meet, not because I forgave him, but because I needed closure. Something real, something final. We met at a small cafe, once our usual hangout spot. Back then, it was the three of us. Her, him, and me. This time, it was just two. He walked in, head down, dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept in days. No greeting, no handshake, just one sentence. "I'm sorry, but not for the reason you think." I clenched my fists. He went on. "I liked her, I'll admit that. But I never slept with her. The messages you saw, they came from her. I replied because I was weak, because I was stupid. But I never crossed the line the way you think I did." I didn't know what to believe. But then he continued. "I cut things off 3 months ago. I didn't tell you because I knew what it would sound like. But after I saw the message you sent, I knew. If I stayed silent any longer, I deserved to lose everything." He pushed his phone across the table, opened to a message I'd never seen, a message that was sent before everything exploded. "I can't do this anymore. He's my friend. I should have shut this down the moment it started." I said nothing. I didn't forgive. But I also wasn't as angry anymore. Not because he was innocent, but because I started to realize when relationships fall apart, not everyone is the villain, and not everyone has the courage to own up to their mistakes, even if it's too late. I left the cafe that night with a strange feeling. Not relief, not heaviness, just emptiness. The kind of emptiness that settles in after the anger has burned out, but the pain still lingers. No more screaming in my head, no more images of her and him tangled together like a grainy black and white film. Just me, and one imperfect truth. Some betrayals may not be fully intentional, but they still have the power to destroy. I went home and turned on a small light. I sat down in the window chair she used to love. I pulled out my notebook, the one I'd been using to write down everything I felt, like a form of self-therapy. I flipped to the last page and wrote, "I don't forgive you, but I don't hate you anymore." And maybe that's all I needed. As for her, I didn't write anything else. There was nothing left to say. Because between us, what broke wasn't just love. It was trust. And when trust dies, love, no matter how much of it remains, is just a shadow of what once was. I stopped replying to her messages. I ignored the missed calls, the long texts trying to explain. Words like, "I'm sorry, it was a mistake, I didn't want to lose you." They came too late, and they weren't strong enough to piece anything back together. Instead of fighting back, I chose to walk away. I sold my share of the company at the agreed price, by the terms we signed. No haggling, no bitterness. I wanted to start something new, something untouched by her, by him, and most of all, by those years I gave away without being met with truth. About 2 months later, I moved to a different city. Smaller, quieter. I opened a modest design studio. Not flashy, not ambitious. Just enough to live, to breathe, and to find myself again in simple things. Morning sunlight, a strong cup of coffee, instrumental music, and runs by the lake. I slowly began to make new friends, people who didn't know my past, and strangely, I didn't feel the need to share it. Not because I was ashamed, but because the past, in the end, is just a place to visit, not somewhere to live forever. One afternoon, as I was brewing coffee, my phone buzzed. It was a message from an old friend. "I just quit. Left the company for good. Thanks for giving me the chance to tell the truth. I hope you're living well. Not to forget the past, but to prove you don't have to carry it with you forever." I read the message 3 times. I didn't reply. I just smiled. Not a forced smile, not a bright one, but a real one. Because in the end, I finally understood. Forgiving doesn't mean agreeing. Letting go doesn't mean weakness. And sometimes healing doesn't come from the one who hurt you, but from choosing, at the right moment, to stop carrying what they left behind. If you've listened all the way to the very end, thank you. Not just for caring about a stranger's story, but for taking the time to witness a truth that many still quietly deny. That sometimes wounds don't need blood to hurt. That betrayal doesn't always come from enemies, and that choosing not to seek revenge can be the most powerful revenge of all. I didn't share this story to ask for pity. I shared it because I know, somewhere out there, someone might be carrying an unnamed anger, a pain that's never had the chance to be spoken aloud. If that's you, I just want to say this. You have the right to be hurt. You have the right to stay silent. And you have the right to start over. In your own way, on your own time. When you are ready. Forgive, if you choose to. Keep your distance if you need to. But never believe that one betrayal is the end of your story. It's just an ellipsis. A pause before a new chapter, where you're no longer the victim, but the author of what comes next. That's the end of this story. If it resonated with you, please leave a comment, give us a like, share, and subscribe. It means the world and gives us the motivation to keep creating. Thank you for listening. And until next time, take care.